Greetings to our lecture of OOP, Puan Noh Haliza binti Idris. My name is Amos, and me and Levi will be presenting about object-oriented problem-based tasks. We are from class S2 DDT 3D. So this is our group members, which is Levi James Fernandez and me, Amos Wong Kok Hao. So on the next slide, we'll be presenting about this content, which is introduction, the source code, output, and also the conclusion. So in the introduction, Balai Pulau Florist Shop will give 20% discount during convocation season in November and December. Develop a system that requires user to order cakes through kiosks. The system will be able to generate an invoice based on class diagram in Figure 1, bouquet type details in Figure 2, and system requirements below. So for the system requirements, the first one will be logging into the system using password P alias SSWORD1234. And we need to display invoice header after successful authentication or log user for entering the wrong password 3 times. Second, input customer name and phone number using buffer reader or scanner. Third, input bouquet type and quantity. Fourth, allow user to add order. Fifth, calculate the price. Sixth, calculate the 20% discount price. 7, calculate the total price by subtracting the price and discount price. 8, displays the footer of the invoice. 9, construct exception handling to handle the exception. So below are the Figure 1, which is a class diagram. And as you can see, the first one, is Balai Pulau Florist Shop. It is the subclass, which contain the stream variable, and also we will have the protected display method. And then below will be the bouquet abstract class. It has calculate price in white. It's also being declared as abstract. So it will extend the superclass. Next will be the customer. Customer will extend the abstract bouquet class. So at the customer, we will have the name and phone string declaration, and we have constructor below. The next thing will be we will override the calculate price from bouquet class, and also override the display method from the superclass. Then the next thing will be Figure 2, which is bouquet details. So bouquet details will be showing each bouquet type of their responding respective price. Yeah. And below is the hint. The hint is where it reminds us to use the concept of overriding, so that the display method for the superclass will be printing the invoice header, and at the child class, which is the customer class, will print the invoice footer. Second is locate the main method in the customer class and access the properties in their superclass using access specifier protected. And this is the output that will be shown. So we are referring to this output and creating the program. And now I will continue with the source code. So to begin with the source code, we need to import the package, which is import java.auto.asterisk. Why we use asterisk? Because we import more than one method or class. We import a scanner and also input mismatch exception in this class. And then we will going through the superclass, which is Balai Pulau Florist Shop. So first, we need to declare a public static final string pass is equal to p alias SSWORD1234, so that we can compare it with the user input password. And the second thing that we declare will be the string password. So we'll continue with public void authenticate. So this method, we are trying to get user input password. So first we set the max attempts and the attempt. The max attempt is initialize it as 3. So user will be given only maximum 3 attempts. And then we continue with creating the layout of the login section, which we having the statement like welcome to Balipula Forest Shop, and continue with the decoration by using the equal symbol. And so the next thing will be we will having the for loop, so that it only allow the user to having 3 times of 10. And then inside the body of the for loop will be prompting the user for the password. If let's say the password is not equal to the pass that we have initialized, it will display wrong password enter. You have how many more attempts left. And else, if you are logged in successful, then you will have apply the clear console method, which will be it will display a few of blank space line, as we want to create a new, I mean, a new space where we can having the invoice statement, so we can give a clear vision of the invoice statement. All right, then the next thing will be we set the attempts. If let's say it's equal to max attempt, it will display maximum attempts reached exiting the program, and then it will system.exit bracket 0. So then we will continue with the protected web display. So the protected web display will be carried on if let's say the user login successful, then it will continue with the display method. So for display method will be display the header of the invoice statement. And the last thing for the method in the subclass will be private static void clear console. So we declare it as what private because this method only can be accessed by this superclass. So the clear console just purposely we want to display blank space of a line. Alright, so that's all. And the second will be abstract class. So abstract class is the bouquet which will extend the bipolar for a shop. And then we will declare the bouquet type in public integer. And then we will have the abstract protected void calculate price method. So now I'll pass the time to Levi. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Amos, for the explanation on the previous codes. Now onto the class, the customer class. So in this customer class, it actually extends the abstract class of bouquet. So first we have our variables. So we actually declared 2 variables right here in string form, which is the name and phone number. And then we also created a object for the scanner, which is called input. And then we also declared quantity in integer. We also declared price in double. We also declared the integer console width. So this integer console width is used in the method called center and print, and it's also used in a method called center input method that will help us to center the system output and also the user input in the center of the console. And then we also have our total price, our double total price. It is initialized to 0 because we have to, it can be reinitialized with the total price of the bouquet of flowers. And then next we have our boolean valid input equals false. We initialize this as false so that it can be used for the exception handling, which is in the input order method. Right. Then onto the public customer method, which have the parameter of string name, string phone, and integer bouquet type. So this is to use the data from input order, which is another method, and assign it to a variable name, phone, and bouquet type. So then comes our main method, which is public static void main, and we also and this main method is also used to create the object for class pulau balik pulau flourish shop. It is also used to call the method authenticate using the name obj. The object name is obj, and then we have our and then we also created another new object for the class name customer, which is with obj1, and we declare the default value for customer method as just 0 or an empty string text. This is done because there is no input statement above the method at all. The input statement will only be performed in the method right there, input order details, which is after creating the object for the customer class. And the name and the phone number will only be achieved or obtained in the input order detail method. And then we also call the method calculate price. This will calculate the price of the bouquet, and it will also minus the discounted price. And then we call the method display also inside the main class. Now to the next slide. Over here you can see that we have one method inside the main below the main class. So this method is the input order details. In this method, this method is used to input the customer details and also take their order. So first it asks for the username. As you can see here, it outputs customer name, and then you have your input statement. And then second, it also asks for the customer phone number. So as you can see right below customer name, it outputs phone number, and then you have your input statement. And third, it will also output a list of bouquet of flowers and prompt the user to pick one of the bouquets. So this is where the input order method comes in, so that it can handle the exception that comes from picking the types of bouquet. Then in the next slide, we have our input order method. So this is where most of the exception handling will happen. So we have a while loop to manage the exception handling, as you can see on the top. And this while loop will detect if valid input variable is true. So back in the first class, back back in the first part of the class customer, we have already declared valid input as false. So now it is trying to search if the valid input returns to true. So it will loop back if the valid input is false, but it will stop the loop when valid input is true. So in the while loop, there's a try and catch exception block. So in the try block, it will detect errors from the do while loop. So inside the do while loop again, the system will ask which bouquet the customer choose. And then there's also a if else statement that gets the type of bouquet that the flowers choose. Okay, and then inside the do while loop, there's an if else statement that gets the type of bouquet that the customer choose and handle the error if the customer choose a non-existent bouquet of flowers. So as you can see there, it only in the if block, it says if bouquet flowers is more or equals to 1 and less or equals to 5, And then it'll continue with asking the user how much of that same bouquet of flowers that they want. So they ask for the quantity, and then after entering the quantity, it'll continue to calculate the price. So continue to calculate the total price, which is the price of the bouquet, the original price of the bouquet times the quantity. And then it will use the center output method to output. And after that, it'll ask the user if they want to redo the order. If they want to reorder, that means pick a different type of bouquet and a different type of or different quantity. And so you can see that we already declared add order, and this is like a true or false. This is like a true or false decision. So 0 for true and 1 for false. So there's an if block again, an if statement. So if add order equals 0, then valid input equals true. That means it'll exit the loop, exit the while loop, which is on the most outer. And if the user put 1 and then it'll keep it at false, that means it'll go inside the loop again. And coming out from the if statement, we come to the else, which is on the bottom. And so this else will detect from the bouquet type if the user put 1 to 5. But if the user put less than 1 or more than 5, it will output the text, please input 1 to 5 only. And then it'll consume the invalid input so that it can avoid the infinite loop. And then reloop again so that the user can input their bouquet type. So coming out from the else block, we come to the do while again, but we already finished the do. Now it's the while. So while true, that's true is the parameter of the while do while loop. So if it's true, then it will reloop again. If not, it will come out from the block. And now back to our try and catch. We already finished our try, now onto the catch. So if the catch block detect any error or miss input from the types of bouquet that the user input, and then it will release an error called input mismatch exception. Well, it's actually not an error. It will release an output that states to the user that they've input in the wrong value. And they will consume the invalid input again so that it will not end up in an infinite loop. So that is for the while block, and also that's for the input order method. So onto the next method, which is the calculate price method. And this calculate price method is a protected method, and it also overrides the abstract class which Amos discussed before this. And this method, it actually states the price, or it has the price of each of the bouquet. So as you can see, from bouquet 1 to 5, it has different price. So from bouquet 1 is 169, bouquet 2 149, 3 159, 4 189, and bouquet 5 is 79. And there's no default price. And so this is for the calculate price method. Now on to the next method is the display method. So this method will display the order details of the customer. That means if the customer already choose their bouquet, already choose their quantity, it will already calculate the price of the bouquet and display it to the user. So as you can see there, it starts with order details, and after order details, it displays the price. I mean, price, it'll show the total price of the bouquet, but not minusing the discounted price. And after that, they'll show the 20% discounted price. That means because the flower shop is giving off a 20% discount, so show the discounted price. And finally, we have the total price, which is the total price minus the discounted price. So you have the discounted total price, and that is your actual true total price that the customer need to pay. And finally, we have our terms and conditions. In these terms and conditions, it will give the customer a goodbye message and also some messages on the bottom there. And that is all for the display method. Now onto the helping methods, which helps the text to be aligned to the middle of the console. So first, we have our printing helper method. So this one will just I'll just press a tab before any messages or any output. And on the second helping method, it is called the center and print method. So this one, it only focuses on the system output and not the user input. So on every system output, it will center the messages to the middle of the console. And for the center input, that is when it centers all the user input to the center of the console. So that is all for our helping methods. Now onto the outputs. So these are our outputs. It is some of our examples. So first we have our non-successful case. So in this non-successful case, the user input the wrong password 3 times. So our system is designed to handle or coded to handle only 3 wrong passwords. So as you can see, the user put in the first wrong password is p alias ss word, and it shows wrong password entered. You have 2 more attempts left, and the user input in again p alias ss word. It warned them that they have 1 more attempt left, and finally the user input in p alias ss word 12, and that is still the wrong password because the actual password is p alias ss word 1234. That's the correct password. And that is when we come to a successful case where the user entered the correct password and the system logs in to the account and also greets the user by saying login successful. Oh yes, and also back to the non-successful case, if the user entered wrong password 3 times, it will exit the system. It'll tell the user that maximum attempts has been reached, and it will exit the program. Now onto our output. Onto our second output. So in our second output, we have the invoice. That means it's asking the user to input in their name and also their phone number. So it seems kind of blurry, but over here, the customer input their name as SA and their phone number as. So the customer name is SA and the phone number they put there is 21212. And well, it lets the user into the system. So after that, it will display the bouquet types. It shows the 5 bouquet types, which is the After Rain, the Painter Song, the Sweet Sunrise, the Tango, and the Faithfully bouquet type. And below that, you'll ask the user on what bouquet type they want. So this is the wrong type of input that the user gave. The user input 2 in format of string. So the system can only handle integer, not string. And that is where the system outputs error input mismatch exception. So it does not accept the user input. But then the system also prompts the user to input in again the type of bouquet that they want. And this time the user put in 2 in format of integer, and so it accepts. And then it requests the quantity of the bouquet that the user want to buy. So the user said the quantity is just 1. And then the system accepts. The system also asks the user again if they want to add order. 1 is yes and 0 is no. The user presses 1, that means they want to add order again. So in this part, the user enters another wrong input. The user enters 6, and as we already showed, there's only 5 types of bouquet. So 6 is already a non-existent bouquet of flowers. And that is where the system in outputs please input 1 to 5 only. And the user made another mistake by putting 2 again in string format. And that's where the system outputs the input mismatch exception. And finally, the user inputs 2, which is an integer, inputs their quantity is 1, and their add order, they do not want to add more orders, so they press 0. And then we come to our order details output. So this will output the order details of the user. So after a user has picked bouquet type 2 times, with only 2 times. So the bouquet type, one bouquet type is around 100. Bouquet type 2 is priced at 149. So 149 times 2 is 298. And then they calculate the discounted price, which is the 20% discount, which is 59 ringgit 60 cent. So after 298 minus 59.60, the total price comes up to 230.40 cents. 230 ringgit 40 cents. Sorry, that is 238 ringgit 40 cents. And then it outputs the terms and conditions, which is the goodbye message to the user. It says, please pay at the counter, thank you. And then some heartwarming message below there. Spread love, appreciate what you have before time makes you appreciate what you have. So, in our conclusion, we learned how to apply and how to use the concepts of inheritance and abstract class. So, in terms of inheritance, customer class inherits from bouquet class, and bipolar florist shop class implicitly inherits from object class. And in terms of abstract class, we learned that bouquet class is an abstract class. We learn how to utilize the bouquet class when it is an abstract class. And then as a bonus, we also learn multiple inheritance, which is implicit. So customer class indirectly inherits from both bouquet, which is an abstract class, and object implicitly, as all classes do in Java. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you for listening. And is our motivational message we have right here. Knowledge, like air, is vital to life. Like air, no one should be denied it. And that is true. Thank you.